Welcome to From Loneliness to Overflow with Matina. I'm your host, a holistic healing coach, divorce recovery coach, and a passionate advocate for personal growth and your guide on the journey to healing. This podcast is for those who are struggling with the feelings of loneliness, disconnection, feeling stuck, and who are ready to discover their inner potential and live a life overflowing with love and connection. Inside, we are going to explore the path from pain to transformation, bridging the gap between loneliness and abundance through heartfelt conversations, spirituality, energy work, and self-awareness. So let's get started on this soulful journey together. Welcome to another episode from Loneliness to Overflow with Matina. Today's guest is a lighthouse. And I'm calling her a lighthouse because the very first conversation that I had with her, I could feel the light and I could feel the energy as in the service that she is devoting herself into. Apart from that, there's always a journey as a human body that we are joining into and the journey that we have said yes to becoming that light and being of service to others in the way that she does. So I can't wait for her journey to be shared with all of you and for you to really, truly lean into your own essence and understand that you are not alone. And if nothing else, I hope that that's a message that you truly feel into, that you are not alone. With that said, welcome, KerryAnn.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Oh, such a delicious conversation that we first had, and to be here now with you is immense. I'm so honored for what you're giving out, and the messages that you're sending is so divine, and so what I feel is really needed in that resonance for people to receive from the heart.
Thank you. Yeah. Like we can always present ourselves in a certain way. And we all do. We all have a role to play. At the same time, there's a beautiful soul that lives inside of us that has a journey that it has said yes to. And that journey is truly what drives our emotions, what drives our actions, what drives our humanness, all of it. But when we are in alignment, we actually can see the path. And when we are disconnected, we do not know the path. And we can feel confused and we can be in all of this disconnection and loneliness moments where I'm like, what is happening? So it is absolutely my honor to have amazing guests like you to join the podcast and share the story, because it really allows people to know that, yes, we are coaches, and also, yes, we have a path of our own that we have grown from. So please introduce yourself for those who do not know your magic.
Okay, so I'm KerryAnn Hamilton, and throughout my journey with this, I call myself the spiritual life alchemist. And why is that? Because when we go through the lives that we do and go through the soul's journey and really tap into that, why am I here? It's that true remembering, that real resonance of what your life experiences do not define you, but what they have done is they lead you onto a path. And that really, truly has been my journey, and that to share. So I help people really connect with their innate gifts, their innate intuition, and heal their soul journey right the way through. And I mean right the way through, like back, whether you believe in past lives or not. But if you think of, and you just take us out of this human form and this body, we are energy, we are frequency, we are vibration. Thus is everything else in this world. So even if you just took that, is energy cannot be destroyed, but it can be transformed. So in that essence, if you just look at it, is that we've had experiences, and we can take those experiences from generational patterns, that we can have limiting beliefs, thoughts and emotions that are not even ours. So what should I say? The true passion that I have is to really return people back to their true essence, to remember the truth of who they are, the truth of their soul, to really tap into that limitness, that they are abundant. Everything in their life is already abundant, no matter what experiences or where they are right here, right now. But to know that it's not here to stay, it's here to pass. And actually, what we experience whether it be really like what I say in like on the dark deeps, or it's, you know, from everybody it's a different experience. Might be really traumatic, whether it, you know, you may be even just in a place in your life right now where everything's just great, but there's still that hidden part, there's still those triggers that come up, there's still that kind of depth and that density that comes up that you're not really sure about. And this is where I come in.
Yeah.
This is where I come in to help those people to truly remember that truth. And, you know, it's really one of those that when we go through our experiences of whatever it is, when we can see it through different eyes and different perspectives, we can actually channel it and see that as our greatest wisdom. It is our greatest lesson. And actually, even when we're in the depths of it, it's like, remember that it's not happening to you, but it's happening for you.
Yes.
And I remember a mentor telling me that a long, long time ago, and that really did land. Like, that hit me.
Mm-hmm. Oh.
Because especially when you're in the old paradigm, right, of the name, blame, and shame, and like, it did this happened and this didn't do it, was you, and you did this and da 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 da. No, actually, this can be the wisdom. This can be that knowledge. This can be, like, you know, my journey has been a bit rocky and a bit dark in other places, a bit dark, very dark, some just unexplainable. But when I took myself out of that, and when I started the journey on this self-discovery, on this awakening, on this healing, then I realized, now I know.
That is key. That is so key, because I heard the same quote, and I heard it from Tony Robbins. So it's from me, it was like, hold on, what did you just say? You just changed one word. I always say it happened to me, and now I'm saying it's happened for me. Well, how can something bad happen for me? Well, that is a whole journey on its own that we can tap into. Yet you shared so powerfully that you too, yourself, as you were in that mode of it's happening to me, and you're going from the 2 to the 4, that there is a story of disconnection or loneliness in there. So my question to you here then also is, what was your pivotal moment of that disconnect or loneliness that led you into the overflow and led you into guiding people so beautifully now?
There has been many points, as you know, like when we go on this journey and, you know, people look at it together and, you know, like you're this amazing healer, this amazing coach, and incredible, but so are you. You know, at the end of the day, I'm here to activate the healer within. I'm here to activate that true essence that's within you, that's already there, it's already available. But just you've had that disconnect, which you can always see through those lenses, right? So it's one of those where I was always being able to, so if I just go rewind right back to being a little girl, being in a world where like I saw things differently. I knew I was different. But then life's experiences and everything as you go along the journey, like, led you to believe that I was mad. Like, even my mum, bless her, my parents, my family, like, they are so loving, but yet there was things of me and stuff that I come out with that they didn't understand. So it was just like, oh, you know, you didn't see that. That's not true. Like, oh, that's in your head. Like, all of these kind of things, okay? And I was always being able to see energy, feel energy, pick up, but able to know the things before they'd happened almost sometimes, you know, and just know the truth. But yet I was shut down. And I went through an experience where I was young, and I went through I was a girl trapped in a woman's body, right? And obviously that leads to tension, and attention that I wasn't ready to receive. And then within that, it's not until you go down your healing journey and you go in and activate and actually take them back. And then you're like, wow, that did happen. So I did have a sexual experience of a sexual assault at a young age. And then that led me to sort of go on this path, which was like a path of destruction. Okay. And it was one of those where I was like this like patriarch, like friend that was there for everyone and stood up to all the bullies and do all of this. But it led me on like a really mad winding journey.
Yeah.
Where it was kind of like, that was when I say my first real disconnect, like the real disconnect. And if I can go back and remember that, I didn't understand it at the time, obviously.
Yeah.
I don't, because you just harvest it, and it goes in the subconscious, it's trapped within the body, that experience. And it's not until later on you have those triggers. And then I had a beautiful relationship where I had a childhood sweetheart, shall I say? But we were young, and then all these triggers sort of came through even in that relationship when we got older, because we were together a long time. We were like, you know, is my fiance, all that kind of thing. But it was a young love, first house, all of those kind of things. But then we were just different paths, and then things changed. And then I went on and I went from relationship, then from that relationship went into like this horrendous, like, if you look at it now, I can see it through healed eyes. I can see it through trained eyes. I now know that person was very, very unwell. And apologies, it's interesting, something is coming through within that. So I realized that seeing through those eyes, it was, you know, not able to be able to. I'm very, very sorry. I have my son that is coming through, and he's must have finished in school.
Let's pause it.
So that's the thing, right? You know, knowing now that when obviously I went into this next relationship that was totally different, but I can see now through obviously my healed eyes, through my trained eyes, where I'm trauma informed, where I've gone through all the training that I have, I can now see that person was unwell. I can now see that person had a lot of density around them that caused them to be the way that they were with me. But it was very much like one of those where it was such a controlling relationship that it was like even to the point where I didn't even know what I liked to eat anymore when I came out of that relationship, you know. And it's very interesting when I look back of how these things happened. And then I went on to see, when you stay in that vibration, you kind of heal from it, but I didn't really heal from it. I realized that it wasn't actually then from the healing that I'd started. It was, I knew that it wasn't my fault. But then you go into a next one that you think is safe, that you think is healed, but actually it's on a whole different level. It's just that you're receiving that disrespect and regard is from a different level. Like, it's kind of what my tolerance is to accept. And because I was at that point where I was so disconnected, had so low self-worth, that I allowed these things to happen. I allowed myself to be a certain way that really wasn't me, like all the masks, right? All the masks that
you can't, like, what I'm hearing, and you can correct me if I'm wrong in picking this up, like, you had a very intense and very disconnected experience where someone did not honor your boundary sexually. Then from there is this landing scale, if you will, where you are just trying to understand who you are, what you are, and what the body means to you as a child, not even as an adult, as a child. And as you are trying to understand it, because one person didn't honor your boundary, now you're putting up boundaries left, right, and center, and you're testing and you're trying, and you're like, I'm going to show up in this way. I'm going to really be loud now. And of course, because you are in this disconnected and dysregulated emotion, this tornado of emotion of rage and anger and regret and pain, you're gonna, of course, attract all of those type of energies into your life. So tell me, like, as you were growing older, you had the relationships that you had, which were dense, as you said. What was that next pivotal moment where you're like, okay, stop, this is not me. I cannot wear all of these masks all at once and then pretend I'm okay?
That, you know what? That is my son. He was delivered to me as my saving angel, that of which is inked on my skin. So I fast forward to this point that I fell pregnant, and it was very much like it gave his father a choice at the time, and it was very much like, I know that I need to go through with everything, whether you're standing by my side or not. If one of them's okay, but I know that I have to do this. And then fast forward on just a little bit into once he was birthed, I was actually given 70 to 30% chance of living. I was diagnosed with an aggressive cancer, breast cancer, that had been, for unbeknown to me, had been developing for a number of years.
Mm-hmm.
And when I say he's my saving angel, when I went on to have a conversation and went over to in back in England, we got a really amazing hospital, Guy's Hospital, and I saw a specialist there because I'm like, oh, I wanted to think about, you know, like freezing eggs, I wanted more children and this. And they sat me down, and I'll never forget it. And he was like, you have one child. And I said, yes. And they said, what we're going to go through with that you might not be here to see through it, the process that we've got in order to do that. And he basically explained the cancer, and he said, you know, if I didn't go through the breast changes that I did through breastfeeding, because there's always that pivotal time that something happened that day when I found all of this mass, right? And he explained it to me that basically all like the tumors, the cells and everything all dispersed. And then with this one particular day that happened where they all migrated, like my son literally slept for the whole day. I always remember it because I got stuck in a lift that day. and he slept the whole day, went through all this, just slept through all of his feeds. And then I was just like, oh. And what he explained to me was that it was like a magnet, and then everything just came, and then it kind of electrified and went into the next stage. So what dropped into me at that moment was, if I didn't have my son, I wouldn't be here. Mm-hmm. So in that point, I'm like, oh my God, I've got to be here. I've got to be that strong side. And what happens, whatever I've got to do, I've got to do it. And I'm going to stay here. So then with that, it took me on to, well, what do I know? I know the unknown. What did I used to trust when I was a little girl? I trust that energy that I saw that would come to me and speak to me. Mm-hmm. That sacred geometry that I used to see and envisioned in a leaf, and how that energy and that light would come alive. That's what I trust. Mm-hmm. And then it was like, okay, so let's go on this journey. So I started looking into nutrition, how I can look after myself. I went into a network marketing company, which is amazing. Like forever, I'm still in now, and it is like it's with these beautiful nutritional stuff that led me onto the path of like personal development, that then led me on to my first online coach, which is Gabby Bernstein. I did a judgment detox course with her, and that was incredible. And I read her book, and I read it like loads of times, and it said, see the sign, and the sign was clear. For the first time in years, I had that audience that came through that was so powerful and so knowing, and I followed the thread, and then was like, what's come up? And then I had somebody that I went to go and join somebody who I was a mentor for, was doing mentoring for a group for years. And I went on to energy healing, learning a bit of quantum healing. And then I had another up level experience from that. But that was the time that I started to really delve in, and then started to go in the journey, started to understand how I got to this point where my body was dying through all the traumatic experience that I believe that I didn't have the tools in the box to be able to traverse through it.
Yeah. As you're sharing, what is coming up really is like when we are going through any life experience, and what one might experience as to, okay, this is terrible. This was a terror. This was an attack. This was this, and this was that. It's completely something else for someone else. So it's not about putting any experience on a scale and seeing from 0 to 10 how heavy it is. How heavy it is for your body is what matters. Mm-hmm. Walk down the street and have a traumatic experience of a car almost hitting them, and they go into 10, and someone can be like having a highly toxic, abusive partner, and they're having an almost close to near death experience, and that is a 10 for them, right? So there's no comparison as to what is your 10. But what absolutely is true for everyone, this is what I have seen, I'm curious what you think about it, is when we are not honoring our emotions, our experience, and we suppress it, and we are all on this go train because the next day is emerging, the next thing is emerging, someone else needs us, we need to behave a certain way, all of those things that put us in these boxes of performance, of a mask, is also masking your emotion, but your emotion doesn't go anywhere. It gets trapped in your body. And the more you trap, the more it evolves into a disease. And that disease has now something to grow on in your body. So when you're talking cancer, cancer is like one of the outcomes of suppressed emotions and that disconnection that we are not willing to see. So what I'm curious to ask, KerryAnn, is as you were doing all of these wonderful things and you were meeting people, you were learning about wonderful things, it's also this very harsh truth that we have to face of the past, because only when we face it and sit with it and be uncomfortable in it, even if that's for a minute, it's better than carrying it on for decades. So how was that experience for you when you were doing the work and looking into all of these dense experiences that you had of your life? And you mentioned the sexual assault at a very young age. How was that experience for you to really look at that and come out from, oh, I never saw that perspective, or never saw that angle. I never saw how when my parents said this, it made me feel and behave in that way. Like these little nuances that we get create a ripple effect of performances and behaviors that we are like, why am I doing this? This is not me. Before we dive back in, I have something transformative to share with you. It's called the Alignment Collective. Release, Rebuild, and Rise. My signature group coaching program designed to help you unlock the life you deserve. Every month, we focus on a key area of life, from health to relationships, career, and more. In the first 2 weeks, we energetically release what's holding you back. Then we shift into calling in the abundance and clarity that you desire. And in the final week, we come together for powerful group coaching, sharing our wins, our challenges, and raising the collective energy. Are you ready to release what doesn't serve you, rebuild your foundation, and rise into your potential? Try it for 50% off with discount code GROWTH. Visit matinasingh.com/meditation. The link is also found in the description. I can't wait to support you on this journey.
Yes, and this is so pivotal, and it's like something that I've learned on my journey. And this is not just doing the deep work with myself and working with the different modalities that I have over time. It's also what has become very apparent for the years that I've been working with other people. It's the synchronicities that come up, because what is for us is also universal, I truly believe, because what we experience, so does others in the collective, so to speak, are also experiencing. And what you said is totally powerful and on point, and it's true. If we do not have let's bring this back. Let's simplify it. If you think of a zebra that's just getting chased by a lion, that is trying to get to the water hole, and is getting chased by a lion, it kind of escapes, but it's like, what does it do? It shakes it off, right? And then it doesn't avoid the water hole. It doesn't just run away and just hide and then not nourish itself the next day. It's wary. It's aware of the memory, but it hasn't held on to that vibration, onto that fear, onto that emotion. So actually, if we can go through all the experience that we've had, but if we can simplify it and imagine ourselves as that zebra, and this is what I've learned now, even through my journey, I used to find it really hard. And it used to be this dramatic thing of like when I'm letting go of all the energy when I was going through this stuff. And now it's just like, whew. And that is as simple as we can get, only and when we recognize we've committed to past, brewing over us, and work on what has been stored and trapped within our bodies and become really, truly connected to our body and everything in it. So in essence, like, the reason why I'm using that as example is to also let everybody that's listening is to know that actually the years of experiences and things that is happening and what's going on, it doesn't take you that long to do it. I went on a longer journey because I needed to. I needed to because I'm here and I have to meet with people on those levels. I know that that's my teaching, that's my learning. But I'm here to help others as you are, as to say, like, even with this podcast, which we're bringing out and saying that actually it doesn't need to be that way. But in essence, it's kind of like, you know, is when we do not have the tools to process it and shake it off, just like that zebra, it manifests into the body as so many different things. As like saying, if you look at the word, when you said disease, dis-ease is the word, right? Mm-hmm. The word alchemy of it. And it's like, you know, we go into when, like, I remember, like, one of my things was I used to struggle really badly with anxiety, like horrendous anxiety, panic attacks at one stage for a long part of my life. When I started to do the energy work and all of that, what it actually was, when I unraveled it and leaned into it, it was suppressed anger, because I was unable to express, or not allow myself to express, the disharmony, the what had happened to me or has been happening to me. I just swallowed it down. I had throat things like that happened. Like, I had my tonsils out when I was younger, and all these different things. Like, because why? Because I lost my voice. I lost who I was, you know? And when you start piecing that back and you start working systematically, and it's not until really even more recent years, because when I started this journey, then I started working on the esoteric level and, you know, working with the angels, working with those higher vibrations, amazing. And you'd have these out-of-body experience, but actually that's still disconnect. And it wasn't until I started working with Sada Simone, and he just had this thing, and it landed so far, and he must have seen in the way that I spoke, and I'd be like this, yay, like, you know, I'm healed, I'm going through this thing, I'm this amazing, you know, I'm doing this coach, I'm doing this amazing work, really helping others. But yet I was like, high vibes only. When we went through this training, my God, he went, now if you're high vibes only, that's not true life. And I was like, whoa, hang on a minute. And he was like, that's a trauma response. I was like, okay, there's still some work to do. But then I realized, when I started going through the somatics, that even though I'd done all this amazing energy work for years, I was still wasn't fully disconnected, because that would be a lie. But I realized when I started doing the somatics that, it was unsafe to be in my body fully all the time. And it was unsafe to be on our beloved Pachamama, Mother Earth, this planet that we're on, because I was always going off in other directions. Mm-hmm. And again, when you start to really unravel that, then that started bringing up the ancestry of stuff for me.
Oh, let's not go there.
But it's so powerful, because then when you realize, and then you go and you drop into the body, and you're like, oh my God, high vibes only. I had a sign in my house. I used to say, and I was like, oh my God, I've been sent to my child, like, high vibes only in this place, like, none of that, like, no grouchiness. Like, what was I doing? I was still suppressing those emotions, right? Even though I was allowing myself to free through the emotions, but I wasn't free. Like, when I say free, as in, like, when you read to belly roar, scream it out. That's the release.
Yeah.
I'd allow myself to cry, because, you know, every tear is 1,000 diamonds, as my maestra says to me. That's always stuck with me. And I'm like, right, crying's the healing. I knew that. But still, that whole, like, when you feel stuff, and you feel, it's like with a child when they're a baby, you allow them to have those frustrations and those crying, those tears, and you hold them, you nurture them. So why are we not doing that with ourselves? If we have that moment where you have to feel it, so I'm not saying bypass it. I'm not saying, like, use the tools and just get rid of it. What I'm saying is lean into it, like what you said, Martina, lean into the uncomfortableness. Where is it? What is it teaching us? Drop the story, be with the feeling. Drop the story, be with the feeling. And that's the true somatics within that.
Yeah.
And when you, because the construct of the mind, we are light, we are energy, we're frequency and vibration. So if our mind can amplify that and amplify the stories and connect it to this and this and that, then all we're doing is making that bigger and bigger and bigger. And then in turn, our body can get diseased and all of those kind of things. Or are we going to go, okay, where is this? I've got this anger, this rage that's really inside of me. I feel like I really want to scream. Okay, I'm going to give myself permission to scream, because that's letting it out.
It is not only letting it out, it is validating what you feel. Mm-hmm. And this word healing is so it's just misplaced, because
Yeah.
as human beings, we're always going to evolve. We're always
Mm-hmm.
going to go through our next and our next and our next phase. So as you shared, you were actually peeling an onion for a simplicity. And you're
Yes.
literally like, okay, this one is done. I got it. I'm done. I'm good. And then you notice something else and you do this one. Okay, now I'm good again. And here's the pivotal point though. So many people think that once they peel one layer, that they're done for life. And if something else shows up, it means that they did something wrong. So the self blame starts again. And now you're creating a new pattern of a new layer that wasn't there before, because you perceived, and something in the root of this onion is feeling into a pain that you haven't tapped into fully yet. So when you talk ancestry, it's really getting closer to the root of your humanness, if you will, because you chose your family, you chose the ancestry. There's something that you're meant to do now to help the ancestry's evolution, not only for your parents and your sisters or your brothers, but also for your own children and their children and their children. And, ooh, this one's going to be interesting. I can feel it.
I can feel that too. I felt it all rise up through into your body. Oh, hit me with it.
What came up is when our parents or their parents didn't have the tools and the time and the frequency to really lean into their own emotion and get out of survival and be in their own body, is why we are now being called to leaning into our own bodies, going out of survival, and getting attuned with and aligned with your own frequency, your own vibration. And as human beings, as a soul, as a unique soul, you have a specific path, you have a specific gift that not any of the, I don't know how many billions of people on this planet can do. So when you're sharing, KerryAnn, so beautifully that, yes, we are really understanding and we need to feel our bodies. We need to feel that emotion that is coming up for us, be that anxiety, be that anger, be that frustration, whatever it is. Why am I feeling this way? Okay, there was something in here. I need a moment. And I say this to my kids, like, okay, I'm frustrated because things are not going my way right now. And I have this natural tendency to want to control things. So what do I need to do? I need to stop. I need to breathe. Let me breathe for a second here. And I'll get back to what we're doing. Do I do it perfectly? Hell no. But am I aware enough to stop myself in the tracks, shift my energy, honor my feeling, and allow that feeling to be in motion, because emotions are meant to be in motion. They're not meant to be stuck.
Exactly. On point.
Then, and only then, can you move forward without the guilt of, oh, I didn't do this. Have you had that experience, KerryAnn, where you were like, I'm back in this again?
This is the thing, right? And this is going back to the beginning of our conversation where you opened up beautifully of, we're in this journey and we've gone through what we are and we're coaching and we're leading others. But when you choose the path of, I call it the path of awakening, right? Because we are expanding our consciousness, we're expanding our vibration, we're seeing things beyond the veils of illusion and disillusion and hatred and greed and all those three poisons that keep us locked down into the density. That, you're like, yay, I've got, like I said, gone through it all, and I've gone through and I've dealt with all of this darkness. Then all of a sudden, it was interesting. I've been on this really amazing flow and been working with in these beautiful layers. I've been teaching with the right mentors and been, I've been gifted enough to be working with thought leaders. And that's really been a profound, up-leveling for me, a constant rebirth into that evolution of myself, like in that real true essence of divine, and really, really being on my sacred path. In this floaty thing, then bam, life happens. So last year, Um, I lost, not going to say lost. That's the worst word, because she's not lost. But my soul sister that came into the life, as you are when you do this work, you call in the family and the people that you're meant to be with, right? And they come into your life. And we started our energy healing journey together, our learning teachings. And I still say she is, because even though she's transitioned and she's not on this earth anymore, she's an incredible animal communicator, shaman, and energy healer. But when she left this earthly plane, that hit me more than I ever knew. I thought I was fine with it and everything was fine, because me and one of my other friends, who's also a shaman, we helped her transition. We helped her transition out of the body, and knowing that she came to us and we did that. We were shamans at her burial, which was so profound and so beautiful. And, but we were in service that day. But then what I realized is that I just immersed myself in, because I got some part-time jobs alongside my business. And I immersed myself into like manual work, like really deep in. And even though I knew that this was self-sabotage, I knew that this was actually an old pattern that I've reignited in a slightly different way, because I'm in a different energy, because once we let go of the old patterns, we don't recreate them, but however, we can still create new. I knew that's what I was doing. And then I kind of reduced my practice. I live and breathe the work every single day. Like, I am living in and bringing the sacred into our life every day. I'm still working with clients, but I wasn't expanding. I kind of stopped like even the studies, everything that you always nourished me. I wasn't doing all the things. I wasn't really fully facing. I was going with the flow. Like when I had the anger, the guilt, all of that lot, I was doing that. I was letting go of that. But what I wasn't doing was really truly facing it to its pivotal, until, as the do in the divine universe does, wipes you out. So the beginning of the year, it was wiping me out. And I was like, for crying out loud, I thought that I had been, like, I now am only meant to invite what I call, what in the Buddhist tradition, you call it Mara, right? And that's the darkness. It's symbolism of evil. I'm like, I'm meant to just see this and traverse this for everyone else, like I've done with my demons. No. You've got this one to face. And I won't forget this moment. I was not very well. My body had become diseased and I'm never ill anymore. And I knew I was purging. And I was like, right, I've got to face this now. And when I did it, I went to my garden. So I sat with it. And she appeared to me. And in her voice, I saw her like in my living room as the energy, as a beautiful soul. And she said, darling, stop effing using me as your excuse. Get on with it. Your medicine is to be received. We are still doing this journey together. I'm just up here. And I was like, okay, just pick yourself up, do the work, face it. So within that moment, I cleared my altar. I turned to my guardians. I even just clearing the altar and doing that, and I sat and done the work. I did a soul retrieval on myself. I realized that I'd actually lost with that experience. About 60% of my soul just went. So I was only living a part of my essence. But then once I'd done that, I do activations, and I was like, right, just use your tools. So I'd done guided to do an activation on myself, and the next day it was just incredible. Like I was elevated, and I was like, we're clear. The next day it was like, right, new energy, new this, new that, and then other things have started falling away. The things that are not serving me anymore, that were one of the drains of one of the jobs, is recently just completely gone away. And I laughed, because actually I'm like, okay, you're giving me the space in order to do the things that I'm meant to be here for.
Yeah.
And then also how this podcast came about. And that's the thing. But I think if I could share out of that sharing, I think the message that I would like to deliver with that is that even if you feel that you have got it all together, it's okay not to be. But it's a conscious choice in order to face it. It's a conscious choice in order to say, okay, I'm ready. And I knew that I had to lean into the humanness of it. Why? Because I know, I trust that everything was plain sailing for quite some time. And I was in this really beautiful bubble. And, I was having these really gentle, like, rebirths evolving. But actually there was this deeper layer within myself that needed to be witnessed and to be held. And that human part of it is in that life happens. But it was also that real light moment of going, okay. And I do believe that and I do believe again, like, there was that self-worth that came in again for me.
Yeah.
Like, I'm putting my care and love and attention into everything else but what I'm here for fully.
Oh my gosh.
And I believe it's one of those that when you go, then actually, and then that's when obviously we met through for Regan's program, and then we sat down and we worked through, and one of the things was to go, okay, when you're here and when you're living in your highest version, what are all the distractions? What are all of the things that self-sabotage? And I started laughing. I was going, oh yeah, that's easy. Like, that's like just be distracted and find other things to do, and like with that kind of thing. And but then at the same time, I'm going out and meeting people on the street and then asking, as you do, you're put in the right place at the right time. And then I'm delivering that divine medicine and essence with the wisdom that there was something. And I'm like, oh, I'm still living my purpose, blah, blah, blah. Well, no, you're not fully, are you? Come on.
It takes courage. It takes courage to own it. It takes courage to see it. It takes courage to recognize that we still are in a human body. We're still going to perceive and receive things from our own limited way of looking at life. And like many others seek us, we seek others to have a sense of community, to have a sense of growth, and to be able to pull ourselves out of these bullshit stories that we tell ourselves really quickly, rather than losing years and years and years into it again. So I commend you. Like, when you were sharing, my heart was buzzing from pain and then from love, and then there was just so much going through as you were sharing the story of your friend. And at the same time, there's such a beautiful peace, and that only comes when you allow your own story to be faced and to be shifted into the next thing. And I, like, again, KerryAnn, like, this conversation could not be more to the point as to how we as humans and we as souls have our own journey, have our own pathway laid out for us, and that growth is going to be a part of it. However, the ability of seeing the pain, seeing what we're doing, and shifting that is where the gift lies.
Exactly. And it's like, there's paraphrasing here, but there's a quote for Dalai Lama. And it's, pain is inevitable, suffering is a choice. And that's a really powerful one. That's so powerful, but so accurate. And it's like, even if you look back and if you can have it and you go, well, hang on, even if you're, if you break it down to basic terms, like someone's done you wrong in life, because life happens, and people lose people and or their situation or whatever it is. It could even be that your child has like interrupted something that you had this beautiful family day planned, and everything was perfectly in your mind, and then that came along and something happened, and then it could be anything like that. But are you choosing to allow that experience to like just really bring you down? Or are you actually going, well, hang on, where's the beautiful unity in this? Where are we actually honoring that? Okay, that happened. That was our raw emotion. This is things that are happening right here, right now. And actually, okay, we've expressed. Now let's just bring ourselves back to center. Let's bring ourselves back to our heart. Let's bring ourselves back to our innate truth, our innate knowing, and go, wow, okay. Thank you for teaching me. Thank you for teaching me that trigger. Thank you for showing me.
Yeah.
I see you, you know? And it's like it's really honoring that space and honoring that as you said, it's the wave of life and what we experience, but it's not allowing us to anchor that fully into the pit that you can't get out. But it's actually to welcome that darkness, because at the end of the day, so much growth happens in that darkness. Like, you know, if you go into solitude, like my friends would know, like, okay, yeah, she's gone quiet for a minute. She's going to check in. I'm like, yeah, I will share when I'm ready. Because it's actually that, you know, it's mastering. It's like I say, like, it's mastering the pure light. Be the master of pure light, because you have the ability within you. When you trust it, you know it, you surrender.
Yep. Your light,
You are the
your
master
light.
of pure light.
Yes.
Exactly. And what is it? We are all driven by love, or we're driven by fear. If you just base it to the basic terms. And if we can tap into our pure love, like you're the essence, the I am, tap into the I am and really feel that, even just say, I am light, even just feeling that in the body and reminding yourself in that moment, I am at peace. Even just that simple thing is a sacred prayer, a sacred code that activates us and bring us back to the heart, because our heart is universal heartbeat.
Oh, I love it. We have a little ritual on this podcast, and I already see what the question is. And this is so perfect for the conversation we just had, where the previous guest leaves a question for you, and you can leave the question for the next one after we've done the recording. So here is a question for you. How is your best way to deal with pain, and how to grow out of it?
Honor the pain, because our triggers, our pain, our shadows, our darkness are our greatest teachers. When we honor that pain of where it's coming from without trying to attach the story and actually going, okay, that's here. I feel it. I sense it. Let me just move through with it. Let me understand that pain to a different level. So this is where I really drop into the body, because our embodiment and really connecting with that is so powerful. Because when we're fully grounded within our bodies, we are able to move through anything. We are held. And to know that you are held in that moment, that you're never alone. You're never alone. So it's when that pain comes up, it's to honor that's exactly how it's showing up. Where is it showing up? How is it showing up? And to feel into that uncomfortableness, lean into it and breathe. In fact, if you're open, we could do a minute scan if you're open to that, which will tie in beautifully. So if everybody's listening, even for yourself, if you just drop into your body, into this moment, and just really have a sense of your body, feel your heartbeat, the rhythmic flow of your breath, the seat that you're sitting at or where you're standing, and just take a moment to say to yourself, where are you on a scale of 1 to 10? 10 obviously being quite high in a peaceful moment, and low is in a low vibration. So just see where you're at, give it a number, and then drop into the body and really feel the sensation in the body, and see if you can feel any sensations arising. Maybe even through this conversation that you've been listening to, you may have had some moments or some realizations that may have triggered something within you. Take note of that. Like right now, I'm feeling a sensation which is in my heart. So just go to that sensation, feel it, be with it. Take a breath in and then slowly out. Just bringing the awareness, dropping the story, being with the feeling. If the story arises, see it, but just let it float away and come back to the body. Let the body teach you. Bring in the light. Let it be ease, ease, ease. Take a breath in and then out. Just notice how that sensation starts to dissipate and lowers down. Just notice where it is now. It may move somewhere else in the body, and go with it. Let it just melt away. All the stories, all the lower vibration and frequency and vibration and energy, to be at ease. Take a breath in. I am at peace. I am at peace. Open your eyes if you're ready. And just notice how your body's feeling now.
Honor. Honor is the word that comes up as I went through that. You honor yourself. Thank you. Thank you for sharing so authentically, beautifully, going through your difficult moments, but then also showcasing how others can rise and how they can tap into so much beauty that they have inside of them. And as coaches, as spiritual guides, we are not above anything or anyone. We're just walking the path with you. Thank you so much, KerryAnn, for joining.
You're welcome. Thank you. It's been such an honor and to share, and how it's just so beautifully been divine, like it's completely, just
so good. Awesome. Thank you so much. Anyone who feels inspired to reach out to KerryAnn, all her description and her information is in the description below. So reach out, connect with her, feel how this vibration and how even this 1 minute connecting with your body felt for you, and be in that frequency of joy. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for listening. I hope this episode has helped you to feel less alone in finding tools towards a life which is overflowing with love and purpose. If you enjoyed the episode, please take a second to rate and review. Each review helps us to reach more individuals who are seeking healing and personal growth just like you. And don't forget to take a screenshot and share your aha moments on your Instagram stories and tag me, saying Matina. See you next week. Take care.